There's more than just one thing that makes what Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs are doing down in Athens special in college football, but the versatility of some of their players and what the coaches are asking them to do is maybe one of the things that's different and is a separator in why a program is ran in such an elite way, is operating in such a professional and specific manner. You got players like Jaylen Walker out there, super, super talented, right? 4 or 5 star player who could be out there, could be a 10 plus sack guy at all these schools, sacrificing, doing things that maybe aren't in his best interest as on a personal level. I don't know. Maybe they are, right? And being a hybrid linebacker and going back and forth between the inside and outside linebacker and not playing a ton of snaps. Now, I've always kind of had the question about Jaylen Walker is he seems like he might be Georgia's best pass rusher. Why do they move him around so much? Well, it's to benefit the team, and they've had other edge rushers there that are better, and they like having guys like that all over. It's not the only example. You got guys like Dylan Fairchild and Xavier Truss and Amarius Mims and all these players from the last couple of years learning to play more than one. Javon Bullard learning to play more than one position, being able to do that, moving around, sacrificing for the benefit of the football team. These Georgia Bulldogs do that. I've got several examples of Georgia players sacrificing for not just for themselves, but for Georgia. All right, Jaylen Walker and what he's doing. And I want to talk more about him because this is also kind of just about, I want to just talk about Jaylen Walker and Georgia's pass rushers as well. Carson Beck, waiting his turn for 3+ years, not leaving. He could have left. I thought he was going to at one point. He did it. He stayed. And now he's a Heisman frontrunner. Jaylen Walker had 2 sacks in 11 snaps against Alabama. And he had a sack against TCU. He's had plenty of production in his limited time, but he's a guy that's just not out there that much because they want to do other things and they want to be able to be multiple on defense. Dylan Fairchild and Micah Morris are rotating at guard. They would be starters everywhere. Almost everywhere they would be starters. At Georgia, they're not, they're on a rotation. It's good. It sacrifices them. They don't get the snaps. They don't get as much game tape. They don't get as much recognition, right? Maybe they're not an All-American, but it keeps them healthy. One, it helps Georgia. Why? They have a lot of guys, they have a lot of depth, keeping fresh legs, developing players so they know that they're going to be better in the future than they would have been without that. Those are kind of some of the things that Georgia does with these guys, and they cross-train these players. Javon Bullard was a 3-star defensive back. They put him at that nickel spot in 2022. I thought he was a menace. They move him back. He's really, really good back there too. These players sacrifice for the greater good of Georgia. Kirby's convinced them to do that. Coach Schumann's convinced them to do that. Mike Bobo's convinced them to do that. It is about the team, and I do think that that's one of the differences at Georgia is Kirby really did figure out a way to tap into young people's minds. These guys, look, if I was a 5-star prospect, I'd probably be a little bit of a douche, right? Or maybe more than I am. I don't know. But I probably would be a little bit worse off. And I would think that I'm hot stuff and go in there. But he's teaching them the grind. And I think that is what makes it different. And something he said after the Tennessee game and talking about Dylan Bell as well, right? A guy that he's really, really good. Well, he's sharing time with Lyle McConkey. He's not a huge part of the offense, right? So Kirby mentioned something after the Tennessee game this past year where he had a really good game that really puts this all into perspective. Ryan Curley from Dawg Post here. My perspective is that the Dawg Post newsletter is something you should be signed up for with the description with the link in the description down below. All you got to do is give us your email address, and we'll push that out to you every single day. It's not one of those, guys, this is not like I don't like giving my email out. I don't. Why? Because you got freaking Home Depot emailing me about stuff, and Dick's and Chick-fil-A. Everyone's just emailing me all the time. Well, it's once a day, and it's different. This is breaking news. This is content. This is letting you be a smarter Georgia fan. It's not us saying, hey, come buy this. Hey, go. Also, the newsletter is free to sign up for. So there's my pitch. There's my pitch. Boom. Boom goes my pitch. Boom is the mascot for Georgia. Content shirts like these, you can only get it at places like the Red Zone in Athens on Clayton Street. Those are the things I'm pumping out. After the Tennessee game, Kirby Smart, Dylan Bell, he goes off for a big game. All right, hadn't had much of an impact in a few games. He didn't have much of an impact against Kentucky. I don't remember him having much of an impact against Missouri. You can pull up the numbers, maybe have 1 or 2 catches, right? Has a big game against Tennessee, and after the game, he's one of the people that it would have been CBS that did that game. They get with Kirby and Dylan Bell after, and Kirby talks about how these guys believe that this is something big in themselves. Not having to have the credit is a really important thing, right? It's a team bond. Well, it benefits programs. Will it always benefit an individual player's NFL draft stock? It's not. It's not. And that's kind of my point here is I think that these Georgia players sacrifice. I really do. Now, you've got your Julian Humphreys of the world who lost the battle to Dalen Everett, right? Let's be honest. This was a cornerback battle last offseason to be the other starter on the other side of Kamari Lassiter. Dalen Everett pretty much beats him out and kind of holds him off for the most part. And Julian Humphrey, he gets hurt and he's not out there and he wants to leave. Well, guess what? The coaches convinced him to stay, partially because his best chance to play in the NFL is by going to Georgia. But he's shown that if you wait your turn, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however many years Stetson had to wait his turn for, like 3 or 4, it's worth your while in trusting the process and trusting the coaching and trusting that it's all going to be good. It's worth your while. It's worth George's while. Jaylen Walker, though. Let's go back to that part. They've got all these stud linebackers. They want certain guys to develop on the inside. And then you've got Jaylen Walker who can play all these different linebacker positions. Well, what is he best at? I think he's best as a pure pass rusher, in my opinion, from what I've seen. But they want him on first and second down to be more of a true linebacker and a stand-up rover kind of guy, out in coverage, out and run stop. He is a freak. This guy is huge, right? 6'2", 245. He just looks absolutely jacked. Glenn Schumann loves this guy, right? You see how happy Glenn Schumann is when Jaylen Walker gets a sack? Look at how happy Glenn Schumann is when certain players get a sack. When Jaylen Walker gets a sack, he is just beaming. And he's taken on this hybrid linebacker role. He's been getting out there and getting snaps since his freshman year. This will now be year 3 for Jaylen Walker. But he's taken on this role. And to me, and look, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm overstepping my bound here. And Kirby obviously and these coaches, obviously, they understand their personnel better than I do. But because he's sacrificed, guys like Damon Wilson are going to get out there. Guys like Samuel Pemble are going to be out there. Chaz Chambliss is obviously going to be out there. He's not just taking up that spot, partially because of his versatility and being able to move around. The other part, because they have a ton of guys that they want to play out there, and it benefits Georgia if a lot of them do. So with him, someone that I've always thought has a chance to be a really special pass rusher, instead they turn into more of a hybrid tool type of linebacker. Why? Because they've got other pass rushers they want to develop, because Jaylen Walker is so good in so many different areas, and it's honestly good to move guys around like that. Well, hey, is he dropping back in coverage? Is he rushing the passer? Is he doing this or that? Georgia asks people to cross-train, to learn more than one position. They ask you to wait your turn. They ask you to buy into a culture that is about Georgia and not about you. That's what's going on that's different for Kirby Smart and this Georgia program. Thanks for watching.